Hello and welcome to the Drawhunter. I am your charming host, Kevin Cleary, and this is the Soccer Gambling Podcast where we don't pick any winners. We hunt for the result that pays better, the draw. We like to bet the draw because they happen a lot. 30% of all pro matches end in a draw, and that's across every league around the world and all the international competitions, and it happens year after year, season after season. And since it's going to happen anyway, why not make some money off of it while we're placing our bets? And most soccer bets at a sports book are settled on a result after regulation time, 90 minutes plus the stoppage time, unless it's otherwise stated, but that's a rare occurrence. If a game goes into overtime or penalty kicks, that usually doesn't apply to our draw bet, and we win. So we are looking for matches with near-perfect possession splits, goal margins, and maybe some historical background, making them prime candidates for a betting deadlock. These are the hidden value draws where a market is pricing outcomes too heavily towards favorites or volatility. Las Vegas doesn't always get it right. These are the games where parity pays off. And even if you want to bet on winners, running down the games through this perspective is still a valuable handicapping tool. So let's dive into last episode's results first. In one of my big picks that I made at the beginning of the week on Monday, Huesca versus Osasuna in the Copa del Rey tournament in Spain, the Copa del Chaos, as I like to call it, because you never know what's going to happen in this thing. They reached a draw, Huesca and Osasuna. They had a draw at 90 minutes. They actually had an extra period of play added on to the game, and Osasuna wound up winning the game at 4-2, but they were 2-2 they were 1-1 at the end of the half, which I also said was a good bet, and they were 2-2 at the end of 90 minutes, and my bet paid off, and I certainly hope yours did too. Then over in the Champions League women's division, our Benfica versus PSG bet paid off. They played to a tie at the end of 90, and then it was all over. There are still games being played right now and to be played later today as this episode is being recorded, so we will update more next episode. There's a lot of league action across Europe this weekend, so let's analyze all the draw contenders right after this quick message from thesantabarbaramint.com. Thesantabarbaramint.com offers a carefully curated collection of the finest limited edition and one-of-a-kind collectibles from the coolest franchises in entertainment. The best of the world's TV, movies, video games, comic books are all in the vaults at thesantabarbaramint.com. Use code DRAWHUNTER at checkout for a one-time 20% off your entire purchase. Not just one item, everything you can shove in that shopping cart on the website, and you get 20% off. They have a set of pins from the movie Elf right now that would make a great stocking stuffer during this holiday season. SantaBarbaraMint.com. Do some holiday shopping there. Make us look good. Use code DRAWHUNTER. Save that 20%. Now let's get into the games and the picks for this weekend. Today we're going all over Europe with league action in several countries. These games are all taking place on Saturday and Sunday this weekend, December 20th and 21st of 2025. And we're going to start off in the Premier League, where we have a top-flight game with Newcastle United playing Chelsea. And this game is at St. James Park. We've got a home team that's plus 170. The visitors are plus 150. The draw is plus 240. And some statistics here, we like these statistics. Newcastle has a 52% ball possession rate. Chelsea is at 58%. Newcastle has scored 21 goals. They've given up 20 goals. Chelsea's done 28 and given up 17. Historically, between these two teams, 3 out of the last 7 games that were played ended in a draw. There's no major injuries on either side really here, or suspensions. Chelsea arrived 4th with 28 points. Newcastle are 12th with 22 points. Newcastle's home edge versus Chelsea's momentum makes parity very plausible here, especially with Newcastle's mid-table stability and the multiple low-margin head-to-head games that they have played over the last several years. Next up, we have Leeds United and Crystal Palace. This game is being played at Ellen Road, and Leeds is plus 170. Crystal Palace is plus 165. Las Vegas can't seem to make up their mind about who's the favorite in this game, and when the money is split between the favorites like that, we like to go with the draw, which is a nice plus 220 on this game. Ball possession rates are very close here. Leeds is at 46%, Palace is at 43%. They've both scored 20 goals this year. Leeds has given up 30, while Crystal Palace has only given up 15. 4 out of the last 10 games between these two teams were draws, which is above average. The market has them at a coin flip. Palace's road competence, let's call it, versus Leeds' home energy really gives us a balanced slate here. I think the under is a favorite according to the bookmakers, and a 1-1 game would probably make a lot of people happy, including me. Now let's jump over to Italy in Serie A. We have Juventus playing Roma on Saturday afternoon, and this is being played at Allianz Stadium. It's a home game for Juventus. Juve is plus 110. Roma is plus 280. The draw is plus 220. And look at these ball possession rates. Juve is 57.3%, and Roma is 57.7%. You can't get much closer than that. Goals for and goals against. Juve has 19 goals for, and they've given up 14 goals. Roma has 16 goals scored, and they've given up only 8. Look at the history on these two teams, though. They are always playing very tight, very cagey matches. 4 out of the last 6 games these two teams have played ended in a draw, and they were all 0-0 or 1-1. So you've got 2 elite defenses and that play with very symmetric structures on the pitch, and that raises the draw odds very strongly. I think even trying to predict a 1-1 score on this game is a really good bet because that's what the history points to with Juventus and Roma. 4 out of the last 6 games, 0-0 or 1-1. That's my kind of history that I like. Plus, all the numbers match up so perfectly. Let's go over to Germany in the Bundesliga. We've got Hamburg playing Eintracht Frankfurt, and HSV is the home team here. We're in Volksparkstadion. That's my German accent. And Hamburg is plus 160. Frankfurt is plus 160. Again, Vegas has their money split right there. The draw is a fat plus 245. I would think the draw would be much shorter on this when the money was split like that between the two teams. But the ball possession rates, HSV is 47%, Frankfurt's at 55%. That's well within the range that we look for. Goals for and against, HSV is 15 and 24. Frankfurt's done a little more scoring, 29, but they also concede because they've given up 29 goals too. 3 out of the last 8 games that these two teams have played ended in a draw, and a total of 5 of the last 12 games ended in a draw. So they have a long history of 2-2, 1-1 games, and that's one of those two scores is a real good probability this weekend. Now, staying in Germany, we've got Wolfsburg versus Freiburg, and this is being played at Volkswagen Arena. That was my German accent again. Wolfsburg is plus 155. Freiburg is plus 170. Very close prices. The draw is a nice plus 240. Wolfsburg has a 45% ball possession rate. Freiburg is at 51%. Goals for and against are very, very close here again also. Wolfsburg has scored 20, given up 24. Freiburg has scored 21, given up 23. So they know how to score, but they also know how to concede too. Head-to-head history, there's been several 1-0, 2-1, very close, tight-knit games between these two teams, but only 2 of the last 12 have been draws. But this one's lining up to be that third one. They've got a table proximity and mixed form between the two teams. Freiburg is also notoriously unreliable on the road. Point to a equilibrium on the pitch, and I think both teams to score is probably a really good bet here also. Staying again in Germany, we've got RB Leipzig and Bayer Leverkusen playing each other at Red Bull Arena. It's a home game for RB Leipzig. RB stands for Red Bull, in case you didn't know that. And Leipzig is plus 110 as a home favorite. Leverkusen is a plus 225 away underdog, and the draw is plus 270. Ball possession rates are very strong for both of these teams. Leipzig is 51%, Leverkusen it's 59%, and the scoring is a pretty good match here also, where Leipzig has scored 29 goals and allowed 16 to be scored on them, whereas Leverkusen has scored 30 goals and allowed 19 to be scored against them. Very, very close, productive numbers. The head-to-head history of this matchup, 4 out of the last 12 draws, a solid 30%, were draws, with several 2-3 games along the way. There have been like 4 3-2, 2-3 games going both ways between these two teams over the last several seasons. There's no major injuries or anything like that on either team, and this is a top-of-the-table clash. We've got two very good teams playing each other here. Number 2 Leipzig is playing number 4 Bayer Leverkusen, and when you've got closely matched teams like that, either whether they're up at the top of the table, the middle of the table, or the bottom of the table, that's when our draws are more likely to happen. So let's go over to Portugal, where they've got an interesting game for us, a game or two, I think, over there for us on Saturday. And we've got Gil Vicente versus Rio Avenue, and this is a home game for Gil Vicente at the Estadio Ciudad de Barcelos, and they are a plus 136 home favorite, and Rio Avenue is plus 380. They're the long shot here. The draw is plus 251, and their ball possession rates are at 48% and 46%. Gil is 48%, Rio is 46%. A little bit differential in the goal scoring things. Gil is at 17 goals scored, and Rio has scored 17 goals also. But Gil Vicente has only allowed 7 goals scored this season versus the 22 that Rio has allowed. So why is this game that Las Vegas thinks is overbalanced on my list as a potential draw this weekend? It is the head-to-head history between these two teams. The last 2 games between these two were 1-1 draws. 3 out of the last 4 games between these two teams were 1-1 draws. 4 out of the last 6 games between these two teams were draws, with that last one being 2-2. So 4 out of the last 6 games being played by these two teams over the last 3 seasons have been draws. The historical stalemate pattern, plus the conservative styles of both teams involved, leads me to being a draw. A draw is the primary angle here. Quite frankly, it's one of my best rated games of the weekend, and it'll be one of the centers of a couple of different parlays that I put down this weekend. I also think this is a great game for a halftime draw bet also. So staying in Portugal, we've got Amadora versus Moreirense, and this is a home game for Estrela Amadora. They're playing at the Estadio José Gomes, which is their home stadium, and they are a plus 135 home favorite. Moreirense is plus 206, and the draw is plus 217. Now look at these numbers on the ball possession rates that these two teams bring forward. Estrela is 49%, Moreirense is 48%. Goals scored 17 and 24 for Estrela, 21-24 for Moreirense. 3 out of the last 6 games between these two teams ended in a draw at 1-1, 2-2, and 0-0. This is just a very boring, even matchup. I think the 1-1 score on this is a live bet, quite frankly, and there you go. So we're done with Portugal. Let's go over to the Netherlands for a quickie. We've got Breda versus Telstar, and NAC Breda is the home team at Radverle Stadion, is their home turf. And they are actually a home favorite at minus 123 versus the away price of Telstar at plus 293. with a draw at plus 280. So no one's going to see a draw coming if it does happen like I think it could. Ball possession rates, Breda is at 49%, Telstars at 44%. Breda's scored 16 goals this season and allowed 25 goals to be scored. Telstar has scored 19 goals this season and allowed 27 to be scored. So they're very similar. They both know how to score a little bit, but they also know how to concede. So this could be a fast and furious game. 3 out of the last 6 games between these two teams ended in a draw. It was 1-1, 1-1, and 2-2. And here's the other thing going on with this game. This is a bottom of the table relegation scrap. We've got number 17 playing number 18. And that's when things get a little cagey, and both managers in this situation absolutely would be willing to go home with a point here. That is it for Saturday's games across Europe. And there's a full slate of Sunday's games, too. I think we had, about 7 or 8 there? And I think we got about 5. I think we got a total of about 15 games that we're talking about this weekend out of the literally hundreds of games being played around the world. These are the 15 that we think are most likely to end in a draw. So now we're going to go back up to England and start again in the Premier League on Sunday, December 21st, 2025, where we've got Aston Villa playing Manchester United at Villa Park, and they are a plus 110 favorite at home, and Manchester United is plus 225. The draw is a fat plus 260 here. And look at this. The ball possession rates. Villa's at 53%. Man U is at 54%. Goals scored. Villa is 25 goals scored, 17 allowed. Man United is 30 goals scored, 26 allowed. 1 out of the last 3 games ended in a draw between these two teams, and 3 out of the last 9 were draws. So they're running at a good 33% here. There was a 0-0 game, and 2 games ended in a score of 2-2. That were the draws in those matchups. Not really a lot of injuries on either side here. Typical winter knocks. There's no single decisive absence that can be flagged in any of the previews. The market is favoring Villa slightly here at home, with both teams capable of comebacks. The 1-1 is a live bet right there. But again, these are two very evenly matched teams working on the pitch, and I think at this point in the season, either one of these teams would be glad to take home a point here. So let's jump back over to Italy and Serie A. We've got Cagliari versus Pisa, and this is a home game for Cagliari at Stardegnas Arena. They are the home team, and they are plus 120. Pisa is plus 250. The draw, Vegas thinks the draw is more likely here because it's only plus 210. Ball possession rates, neither one of these teams is particularly strong there. Cagliari is at 44% and Pisa is at 40%. The ball differential rates are at 15 versus 21 allowed on Caligari's side. Pisa has not been doing very well with that this year. They've scored 10 and they've allowed 10. So they've got a good defense, but they need a better offense. And that's when you get these mismatched things happening. This is going to make it the under a very popular bet for this game. But and they're very limited. There's not really a lot of history between these two because they keep going up and down from the top leagues to the bottom league to the B League and things like that, or Serie A 2. The last 2 games they played, though, were draws, a 0-0 draw and a 1-1 draw in the last 2 games they played. They just haven't played each other a lot over the last few years because they've both been moving up and down. They don't have a lot of injuries, and I think with the under-biased balance profiles and the fact that they haven't played much of each other, they're going to be very cagey when they get onto the pitch, and I think a 0-0 or a 1-1 draw is, quite frankly, very reasonable here. So let's go over to Spain and La Liga. We've got Elche versus Rayo Vallecano, and Elche is the home team here at the Estadio Manuel Martinez Valero. They are plus 145. Vallecano is plus 205. The draw is also plus 205. So Vegas is sniffing something out here. You can always tell. The ball possession rates: Elche 59%, Rayo 55%. Both very strong, possessive teams on the pitch. Goals scored for and against Elche: 19 scored, 20 allowed. 13 scored and 16 allowed on the part of Rayo. So they're both very balanced mid-table. They're both in the middle of the table right now. They both have already had a lot of draws this season. Elche has already had 7 draws this season. Rayo Vallecano has had 6 draws this season. 2 out of the last 8 games that they've played ended in a draw, which is statistically average. But they're very balanced teams this year. And I think this is a classic. I think this is a classic 1-to-1 spot, and as many are. But the fact that they're both willing to take so many draws and points already this season out of, I think it's only 15 or 16 games played in the La Liga season so far, and to have 6 and 7 draws apiece, shows you the mindset of the managers there too when they're on the pitch. So let's run up to the Bundesliga, where we've got Mainz 05 versus St. Pauli, and this is a home game for Mainz at MEWA Arena, and they are a minus 109 favorite at home, and St. Pauli is plus 300. The draw is plus 235, but the numbers, once you get away from the odds, the numbers start matching up really well. Mainz is 45% ball possession, St. Pauli is 47% ball possession. And look at this. For the goals scored and goals against, both teams have scored 13 goals this season, and they've both allowed 26 goals per season. So they're averaging under a goal and allowing almost 2 goals per season, per game rather. And this is another team where, because of the up and down movement from the leagues, they won in the last 6 games was a draw, but you have to go back like 10 years to get those numbers. They have not played each other. They've been very limited play over the last 3 seasons between these two teams, only really in the Cup and some things like that. There are injuries on both teams here. Amiri is out, Widmer's out, Zettner's out for Mainz. Pauli has Handotiji out with a hamstring, and Jay Jones is out with a hamstring. And this is a bottom of the table fight again. We're seeing, look at this, number 16 playing number 18 with matching goals for and goals against and possession rates. I would be shocked if this did not end in a draw. This is another one of those games that I would probably be anchoring some parlays with because the numbers add up. 2 + 2 = 4 in this case. So up in the Netherlands, we've got Go Ahead Eagles versus Groningen, and they're playing at the Eagles home stadium. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. They are plus 210 as a home underdog, and Groningen is the plus 120 away favorite. The draw is a very slim and slender. Vegas is onto this one too, as well as you and me. A very slender plus 148. Ball possession rates match up perfectly between the two teams. They're both at 51%. Goals scored for Eagles, 25. Goals allowed, 28. Goals scored for Groningen, 24. Goals allowed, 21. This is a game where the over 2.5 goals scored is trending strong with this one. Their head-to-head history, 1 in the last 3 games was a draw, but if you start adding them up and going back a little further, 2 of the last 8 and 3 of the last 12s, and all of the games have had very tight margins, 1-0, 2-1, things like that. Number 12 Eagles, they're number 12 on the table, on the standings, have already had 6 draws already this season. Number 5 Groningen will take a point because they're number 5, but number 5, 6, 7, and 8, there's only 3 points separating number 5 and 8 on the table right now. So they will take anything that they can get out of this game since they're the away team. Still in the Netherlands, we've got Volendam versus Sparta Rotterdam, and they're playing at Cross Stadium in Volendam, and they are a plus 170 underdog, while Rotterdam is a plus 139 favorite on the road, which is an interesting number. The draw is plus 259. The ball possession rates for these two teams match up very well, 44.1% for Volendam. Sparta's 45.1%. 19 goals scored on Volendam's part, 30 allowed. 17 goals scored for Sparta, 31 allowed. So they both know how to score, but they know how to concede even better. About 20% of these two teams' entire history are draws. There's a mix of decisive wins, and there's some 2-2, 0-0 games going back there. And we've got this one rated pretty strong for what we're doing this week. So those are the games. That was it's going to be another weekend of big-time action, and hopefully we can get our piece of it. So that's it for this episode of The Drawhunter. I am your charming host, Kevin Cleary. New episodes drop twice a week, Mondays for all the midweek action and Thursdays, like this one, for the weekend slate. Special thanks to the fine folks at sofascore.com, which is my favorite website for sports statistics and results, and that's where I get all the numbers that I use to crunch and provide this data to you folks. Subscribe to us, please, at Apple Podcasts or Spotify or Amazon or iHeartRadio or wherever the heck you get your podcast. If you have any questions, comments, or complaints or pics of your own to share, please email us at drawhunterpodcast@gmail.com. From the entire Drawhunter team, thanks for listening, and remember, there's no stopping it. Draws are going to happen. Gambling involves risk. Please gamble responsibly. This show is for informational and entertainment purposes only. No guarantees are made regarding results or financial gain. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. You must be of legal age to participate in gambling activities. Check your local laws and regulations before placing any bets. This podcast was made by humans.